I saw Greg McElroy of ESPN predict Texas to be the next first-time winner of the college football playoff. Now, if you think about it, there's only been a handful of teams that have won the national championship since the expansion. Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, LSU. That's it. Those are the only teams to win a championship in the playoff era. So Greg McElroy was asked, who is the next first-time winner in the playoff era? Texas has obviously won national championships, but has not won anything in the playoff era. And he said Texas. And I want to knock him. I want to say, they're going to the SEC. Screw them. And trust me, I feel that way. But I can't say that in this case. Because Steve Sarkisian has done what Tom Herman and Charlie Strong before him could not do. And that is not only recruit, but that is put the pieces of the puzzle together with the right guys and the right staff and actually win big. Sark going whatever it was, 5-7 that first year was the best thing to happen to him. And I think in many respects the best thing to happen to Texas football in general in recent memory. The fact that they were able to get him in there and that he did struggle out of the gates, then he improved to 8-5, and then he breaks off that 12-2 record, gets to the playoff last year, and has this thing humming. And I mean humming. Now, NIL has helped Texas in a big way, but still, the talent has never been the problem with the Longhorns, right? Any of us who have watched 10 minutes of Texas football the last decade know that it's not about the Jimmies and the Joes, as they say. That's not the issue for this program. It never has been. So I want to sit here and say, Texas, they're going to the SEC, they're going to get smoked. I don't feel that way. I think they'll be competing right at the top of the conference with Georgia. Notice how I'm not saying Alabama. I mean, Alabama's going to be Alabama, but losing Nick Saban, I don't think Alabama fans, because most of them are still under the age of 30 and kind of forget the pre-Nick Saban era. But I don't think you just move on from Nick Saban and go to Kalen DeBoer, who had himself, a great record, a great career with Washington, got to the national championship game. I don't think that's just a seamless transition. Call me crazy, but I don't think it is. So I look at the SEC hierarchy and I see Georgia and I see Texas. And now with an expanded playoff, you have multiple at-large bids. You don't have Texas needing to fight with an all-time great program or two in Georgia and Alabama to make a playoff, or hope that somebody else slips up in another Power 5 conference that allows you to backdoor your way in as an at-large pick. You don't need to do that anymore with the 12-team playoff. So even if Texas doesn't win the SEC, they'll get a home playoff game, probably, right, with the way the 12-team playoff is going to work out. They won't get the bye, but they'll get a home playoff game against a much more inferior team. And then they'll be playing with, house money in 2 more games, theoretically, where they'll be at neutral sites with some of the best rosters and players in the country, with a really good head coach and a really good staff. And Steve Sarkisian proved that last year. And I don't think it was a fluke. Like I said, trust me, horns down. You don't have to convince me, okay? Look at the sign on the back of the wall here. But I will give credit where it's due. And I do believe that Sark has that program going in a very positive direction. And I don't think that's changing anytime soon. I don't think that that was a fluke year. They're going to come back down to earth, and Texas is going to go back to being 8-5 or 7-6 or something like that and playing in the Texas Bowl. I don't think those days are here anymore. I think they're gone. And, good for Texas. But if I'm looking at the former Big 12 teams, I'm like, Oklahoma concerns me a lot more about what their future holds in the SEC than Texas's. Texas, and I never thought I'd say this just a couple of years ago, but here we are. If you told me this when these two teams announced they were leaving back in 2021, I would have said no way. But once again, here we are. Lincoln Riley's gone. Brent Venables in large part. I think the jury is still out in some degree. And Steve Sarkisian has that thing humming down in Austin. OU concerns me more. Do I think they turn into Nebraska in the Big Ten? No, I don't. But I do think it's something that is worth watching and monitoring.